What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about OnyxCoin today, XCN, USD. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. It is the 5th day of September. We had our little fake out move to the upside that we've been anticipating. Maybe there's more to come. Maybe it doesn't stop there, but we did kind of tip this prior tip right here. We tipped the tapped the tip right there at about, what was that, 1.12 cents. We don't have to go lower or higher, but even if we do go higher, to like 1.2 cents, 1.3 cents, somewhere in that area, we're still probably going to come down. I do fully anticipate that we will see prices below 1 cent, just below 1 cent before moving up higher. But we're almost there, guys. We're definitely almost there. And again, we take this look, this trend line overall, into like an ABC kind of formation. It's not that it has to happen by the end of September, but just from a price perspective, as far as where we would go, that's right there at 00926. I think we're almost there. I really do, and that'd be about another 12% or so to the downside, maybe 10%, 15%, give or take. It doesn't have to be perfectly in line with this. And again, I don't think that it takes until the end of September to get here. Probably more likely by the 16th or the 17th to get here. But I do expect, in the same fashion that OnyxCoin has been doing since like July 15th here, we're going to be moving in a very slow manner to the downside. Every pump gets dumped into, every dump is very, very small, or if it is intense for a very short time, will it be intense, and then we'll just kind of lag. We're in a lag phase now, but I think that we are going to resume moving down here pretty soon. I would think that the low could come in as early as next week. We'll know because it'll be below 1 cent, and then whenever we come back up above 1 cent, I think we'll stay there as long as we're getting daily closes above there. Ultimately, we're looking for some sort of resolution within the next, it's the 5th now, so within the next like 10 to 12 days, right? Within the next 2 weeks, we're looking for some resolution, so hopefully we get that. If we're looking at this here from a relative low to a relative high, the 1272, we are a little bit below there now. Typically, when you consolidate like this, the 1272 without getting any kind of positive reaction, or the positive reaction you did get just gets eaten back, I would say that that's very incriminating to the idea that we do go to the 1618, which is all the way down there at about 009. So very strong possibility that we do go down there. I'm going to put a line right there. We're going to lay out a white line down there at the base and leave that up, delete the fibs. And we'll just see if we can come up with anything else that makes sense out of that area, okay? Looking at the 1 hour time frame. That was a good bit of volume on the pump. Not a bad bit there. A little bit of a gap to the upside there. Right? We got a gap right there between these candles. There's a lot of gaps to the upside. So again, we were looking at it yesterday. I don't want to go over it now, but there's a gap all the way up at 22 cents. There's gaps all along the way. Coinbase gaps typically do get filled, unless it's a coin that's just fizzling out into nothing, which that's not this coin. Coins that fizzle out into nothing, they don't have a slow bleed at the beginning, right? They have a slow bleed at the end, and that's after everything's been sold. This thing at a $300 million market cap, you'd see some kind of immediate shift, immaculate dump or rug pull, and then you'd slow bleed into nothingness. Here, we've got an example of that actually. Let's see. This is a perfect example of one of those coins. Why not this coin? No, not Xano. Xano's a good one. I don't know why though, but okay, there we go. It's glitching on me. Blue Zell. You guys remember Blue Zell? This is one of our more poor calls this cycle. I actually haven't checked in on it. Watch it be at new all-time highs. Wouldn't that be something? Oh man, I'd really be kicking myself in the butt because we were pretty optimistic on Blue Zell, but the team stepped away. There's no development being had. Yeah, and they got delisted from Binance. That's basically the death of any coin. Like even when XRP got sued by the SEC, they weren't they didn't get delisted from Binance. They got delisted from Coinbase, which is pretty bad in itself, but that's more Coinbase protecting itself legally, not really anything to do with XRP. But let's see, 1 hour RSI here, getting to the overbought zone. It's nice. You had a little bit of a move. You're right at an area where you might bounce. That's okay. But if you don't bounce here, you probably go lower. That's a pretty bearish candle that we just had. I would think that we go lower. Typically, whenever we do get these gaps on OnyxCoin, they're not short-lived. You tend to actually continue away from them, right? And then maybe at a later date you come up and fill them. So I would think that we have lower to go. Looking at the stochastics makes me think we have lower to go. Bearish divergence on the MACD. We're about to cross red. Makes me think we have lower to go. 1 hour time frame suggesting between now and the end of the day, which is what, that's 9 hours from now essentially, we're going to go lower. How much lower? I don't know. Will we be below these lows? Maybe. But again, OnyxCoin, when it moves down, it likes to do this slow bleed down. So that was a pretty harsh rejection, but I don't think that that says anything to the pace of what's about to take place. Maybe it does, but I think it's more in response to this massive move up. It was just a little volatility there. Blue Zell, though, perfect example. Let's see. Come on now. Go on a weekly time frame, right? Like you have your December, yeah, back in December 2024. Yeah, because we gave up on you this week. That was your big drop, and then the slow bleed into nothingness started there. Maybe you come up a little bit, but dude, you're probably just going to slow bleed into nothingness is what it is, right? That's and maybe this isn't the best example, but just the example of the initial drop that came in, right? That wasn't a slow bleed down all the way to this area, right? That was just that was the founders, the people who have a lot of capital, the Binance exchange dumping all their Blue Zell because they know this thing's dead in the water. So, um, not that it can't come back, but I really doubt it. I really, really do. I think it's dead in the water. Anyways, and we said that on this week here, right? We had to take some losses, and I put them in some other stuff, and I think we actually even put it in storage. I haven't checked on storage in a while. How's storage doing? Talking about all these coins. We're supposed to be talking about OnyxCoin. I'm just curious just to see what storage is doing. Anyways, XCN here, 1 hour time frame, looking like it wants to go lower. 4 hour time frame. Well, that's not a friendly candle at all. Looking at this here, we do have higher highs on the RSI, a little bit of a double top, lower highs in the price. That is hidden bearish divergence, tends to mark continuation. We're at the same areas that we found resistance before. We did have a nice bounce off the oversold zone, but we just didn't get anything nice from it other than a fake out. So finding resistance at prior support areas. So not a good look there. Stochastics turning around anywhere but the overbought zone is bearish. You can see that we're living in the oversold zone when we get down here. When we get to the overbought zone, we're repulsed by it. The orange line doesn't even get into it, or when it does, it's barely in there. Where here, we're just very friendly with that oversold zone. So until stuff like that starts to change, you have this little look of a double bottom here, right? But it failed you. It failed. It failed, so it's going to go lower. That's the expectation there. MACD, overall bearish posturing. You've been building bullish momentum for a while. I think it's time to let the bears take over, and they probably will. Looking at this on the daily time frame. And actually, can we come up? Is there anything that we can come up with here on the 4 hour? Let's see, from a low to a high. Not really. I mean, there's things that line up with that area, but that might just be coincidence. I don't know how much I'd weigh on these fibs right here because it's just such weird price action. Daily stochastics are bearish as hell. The RSI is in the same area that it has been whenever it's bounced before. Let's just see here. Let's do this because I didn't do this before. Let's just see. When the RSI gets down to the oversold area, right? Maybe even a little bit before. Let's go that. How long were we down here for? About 43 days. How long were we down here for before we really started to move up in the price? About 24 days. If we go all the way over here where we really started to move up, that was about 41 days, in all fairness, right? We were still kind of in this low area, pretty close to that, I don't know. And then here, we've been down here for about 37 days. I don't know. I'm just saying, man. It might be time to start thinking about loading up the truck on some XCN. Even if we do go lower, the amount that will go lower is insignificant to the amount that we're going to pump, you guys. And whenever we pump, it's going to be glorious. It's going to be truly glorious and miraculous. We've been consolidating here far longer than we consolidated here. I want to say that this range, this was like 79 days or 74 days. This range so far, we're at 140 days, 150 almost. We're probably going to continue a little bit more. Definitely like double the consolidation, a lot more tame, less consistent of selling pressure, right? I want to say that this move that's coming up here that we're going to have to the upside, it's going to be far more dramatic than this one. And we're going to start from a higher low. So, and with that as well, if we're looking at this on a daily time frame, from a high to a low, we'll be breaking above this golden ratio zone. And when we break above the golden ratio, it's time to really start thinking about these extensions. When we start thinking about the extensions, it's time to start thinking about the ultimate target destination, which is 26 to 32 cents. If XCN moves the way that we know it can, the way that it has before, we should make short work out of this this whole expedition here. And even, and then ultimately up to this area. So looking at the indicators, coming back to that, stochastics look bearish, MACD looks bearish. It's all bearish, but we're actually near the same areas that we bounced from before over here. The bearish momentum is dying off. You can clearly see that. The last time that it died off like this, we were We were right here. That was our last. We've got a lot of the same signals going on as we did back here and back here at our low points, right? It makes sense that we are going to come up here pretty soon. But the question then is, how high will we come up? Are we going to take out the highs? Are we going to go higher? If we do, then I think, we're validated as long as we get above this high. If we can't get above these highs and we start to come back down, you guys, that could be a real problem for XCN. I don't think that that's what's going to happen. I'm not trying to scare anybody by saying that. I'm just, let's address both sides. It's very possible. But I'm very much under the impression, if I had to bet on it, and I am betting on it, 26 to 32 cents is where we're going to be. Anybody who's been accumulating, anybody who's been holding, buying the dips, and just sitting on their hands, not selling into these lows, you're going to be rewarded in a matter of no time at all. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but that's my expectation. There's a reason why this is my biggest bag, and I don't really have anything else that I want to say, so I'm probably going to end it there. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. Weekly RSI is just boring. Neutral, overall bullish, but neutral, boring. In an area that you like to bounce from, but maybe a little bit lower first. MACD is right at an area to bounce from, right at this zero line. That would be an immaculate, that would be a really good signal if we can bounce from here. And we do have bullish divergence building. We have, is it bullish divergence or have we taken that out? We're about to take it out. Or have we? No, we're about to. We are about to. So depending on how low this week closes or how low next week closes, that could really be the difference there. Even if we take it out, though, whatever. We're at the same areas in the MACD as far as the histogram goes, where we did find support the last two times. Again, a lot of these signals are very similar to these low areas. Even here, right, we're finding support, the same area that we found support before. This whole amount of consolidation is about as long as it's been here. It just makes sense that we're going to move up pretty soon, you guys. But the question is how high, right? And even at a pessimistic point of view, the most pessimistic we could get, the most absolutely unrealistically pessimistic we could get that makes any kind of sense in the charts at all, still took us above this high, right? And I highly doubt that we're stopping at 5.4 cents. The more realistic expectations, which were still pessimistic, were anything from 11 to 15 cents. We're at 1 cent now, right? Or maybe even it was 16 cents. I can't remember. But the realistic, non-pessimistic, just the things that made the most sense, where we had the most congruence, those targets consistently come up with 26 to 32 cents being that target zone, even above 32 cents, if we're being honest. But that's getting a little bit unrealistic to the optimistic side there. But once we get above 32 cents. Anyways, I got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.